The truth about SQL security is what we're talking about today. And this is the first time I've seen this, so this is online. Jen sent it to me just a few minutes ago, so I'm actually doing it from the browser. Thank you to our sponsors. That would be me. And
hey, Sean.
yes.
We don't see your
Oh,
presentation.
you know what? I did not share my screen. You'd be surprised how much I do that. Let's try this. Screen 4. Share.
Yep. You see it now.
I am a god. Let's see. Can I go back? I don't know how to go back in the presentation, so you can just read the... Oh, left arrow? Okay. There we go. Okay, so the truth about SQL security. I'm going to tell you many truths today. Some of them are going to be painful to hear. Some of them are going to be incredulous, but I promise you, every bit of it is garbage. No, I'm kidding. Let's see. I want just a click. Hey, there we go. And here we are back again. Thank you to our sponsors. That would be me, and I don't know how to click. Okay, thank God, because I didn't know how to pronounce that. And join the PassMN Discover. Oh, Discord. Cool. Everybody's on Discord these days. I love that.
I'm on there.
And you're on there. Ah, I see. See, I told you I am no good with this stuff. And here's the PassMN links that you can get to email the board and their meetup information. And who are we? Minionware. We are SQL Server DBAs, and we've spent many, many years managing thousands upon thousands of servers. And, you know, we've been there, right? I mean, if it's part of enterprise administration, we've done it. And so we founded Minionware with auditing and backup and other maintenance software to put you in control of your entire environment. And I would say one of the things that makes us unique is that we actually consider your entire environment as a whole entity, not as a group of individual servers that have nothing to do with each other. And that's really all I have time for to say with that. Does anybody have questions? Why did you put a question thing in here?
That's for the end, and also because...
Oh, that's for the end.
That's a link down there.
Oh, okay. So there you go. That was for the end. Are we professional or what? It's lunchtime. You know, you got to have some fun at lunchtime. So, okay. Today we're going to talk about the truth about SQL security. And a lot of that is actually going to be about command shell and about auditing and about the things that you can and can't do when auditing and the things, and there towards the end, I'm going to show you the things that we can do for you about auditing that gets around some of the deficiencies in the product itself. So first and foremost, here, I want to go back to this thing real quick. I would like to do as open mic as I could. Does anybody know the rule for command shell? What's the best way to lock command shell down? Exactly. No, I don't have any. Nobody's answering. Okay, fine. It's not going to be an interactive session then. Okay, so the best way to lock command shell down is to not lock it down, because there's not really any such thing, right? I hear this a lot. What you have to do is you have to enable a proxy account so that it runs under different credentials. Okay, sure, we could try that. You know what? Let's go ahead and try that.
Okay.
So I've got a non-admin user here. I'm not sure if it's logged in as non-admin. Yes, it is. See, it's XP test right there, you can see. And that is just a normal user. I just created the user in SQL and it has no other permissions whatsoever. And with any luck, we have, let's see, it shouldn't be a sysadmin. Right here, let me prove that to you. There we go. So it's not a sysadmin. And let's see what command shell looks like. Okay, so command shell is running. Perfect. Now, I'm going to do something off the cuff, right? Or something you shouldn't be doing. I'm going to create a local user called I'm a hacker. And it's actually probably already there, but it'll tell me if it is. There we go. Command completed successfully. So it's there. Now, I'm going to add that one to the local admins group. There we go. So part of the local admins group now. Uh-oh, that's a problem. So tell me, how do you think it is that I was able to add somebody to a local user when command shell is locked down by a proxy account?
Magic?
Magic, yes, that would do it. Yes, it's some of that SQL master magic, right?
Yes.
So let's take a look.
XP test must have been a local admin.
XP test is a SQL login.
Oh, it's using the SQL service account.
No, I'm using a proxy. Which, if you think about it, because okay, let me ask you this. Since I've finally got somebody answering, who can run command shell by default? Anybody know?
Sysadmins?
Sysadmins, right. So I just proved to you that this guy is not a sysadmin. So yeah, I'll show it to you again. There we go. Not a sysadmin. So therefore, I must be using a proxy account. So how was I able to do that with a proxy account? Since the proxy account is the big way that everybody gets command shell locked down, right? I can even prove to you, here's the proxy account right there. So I am using a proxy account, but the problem with the proxy account here is, let me change this to select star. Don't do this at home, kids. Actually, only do this at home. Don't do it at work. Look at that. I've got the proxy account running under the domain admin account. So what's the problem here? How was I able to add the local user to not only to the box, but put it in local admins? How was I able to do that? Yeah, exactly. Because it's running under the domain admin, right? So the proxy account, and I'll show you here that, of course, this XP test is a SQL account, and you don't have rights to Windows as a SQL account, right? So if you log into SQL, you can't do anything in Windows by default because SQL and Windows are two different things. Just like you couldn't log on to Windows with a SQL account, right? So there has to be some kind of handoff there, right? SQL, when you use command shell, SQL will hand off to a Windows account and run under those credentials.
It's kind of like a job. It doesn't matter who owns the job if it runs under the service account, the agent account for the jobs.
Precisely, yes. So since I'm running these guys under a domain admin, and when you're part of a domain admin always has local admin rights, right? Then I just gave a simple SQL user that doesn't even have access to any databases full domain privileges. And I can even come in here and add them to AD, right? So, well, I've got that one, but I can take and add a username to AD or to another group as well. So I can add these guys to anything I want. So clearly, command shell is a huge security risk, right?
No.
No. Yes, the answer is no, it's not. What's the real security risk here?
You?
Yeah, you're right, me. Absolutely. And why am I the security risk?
Somebody granted you domain admin rights.
Well, me as the DBA, I decided to, where is it? Here it is. I decided to run the proxy under the domain admin account, right? So wouldn't it be smarter for me to run it under an account that has a lot fewer privileges, not under domain admin? The simple fact that you have a proxy doesn't save you. It's whatever that handoff account has. That makes sense, right? That's like saying giving somebody sysadmin in SQL isn't the problem. It's the fact that there is a sysadmin account that's the problem. Right? There shouldn't even be a sysadmin if you could give somebody else sysadmin. That's just stupid. You need sysadmin. Like you need command shell. If you didn't need command shell, it wouldn't be there. It's an excellent tool to get things done. And the problem isn't command shell, it's the account that you run command shell under. So what if I were to give this, say, a local account instead that didn't have any domain rights and wasn't a local admin? It couldn't add anything to the local security database, and it could only do exactly what you wanted it to do. If all you wanted it to do was have read and write to a specific folder, then that's all it could do. Do we agree on that?
Yes.
Yes. She says yes. Okay, now, since only sysadmins can run command shell, who has the rights to turn it on and off? Sysadmins, the same ones, right? As a local user with no sysadmin rights, if I come here and try to turn it on, I shouldn't be able to. See? I don't have permissions to. Just because I've set up a proxy for that user to run command shell under doesn't mean it has the rights to be able to change it. So even if you have a proxy and even if you give that guy permissions, you still can't turn command shell on and off. Only sysadmins can. So what kind of trouble are you in generically if somebody breaks in with a sysadmin account? I'd say you're in the general neighborhood of completely screwed, right? At least SQL-wise. And what kind of trouble are you in if somebody breaks in with a regular user account? The answer is it depends, right? Depends on the user's privileges. And it also depends on the privileges that you've given that credential. So let me do this. So I'm going to delete the credential right here. If you run spxp command shell proxy account and pass it in the word null as a user account, it will delete the current credential. So if I come up here, that guy's gone now. Okay, so I have no more credential. So now when I try to run something in command shell, in fact, I'll just run this again as a regular user, it tells me that I can't do it. And I'm going to turn it on now. I can't turn it on either. So if I'm a normal user, the only thing I can do is run command shell, and I can only do what the proxy account has rights to do. And it seems like I'm harping on this a lot, but I'm harping on it for a reason. Number one, because so many people think that command shell is just evil, 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 right? And I'm building up to something else. So what if you don't have a proxy account? What happens if you're a sysadmin and you don't have a proxy account? Are you able to run sysadmin? I mean, are you able to run command shell? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. It's okay. Go ahead and shout it out. Everybody knows. So yes, you can run it. Can you turn it on? Can you turn it off? Yes. So if somebody breaks in as a normal user, they can do either nothing or whatever you've given them rights to do. If somebody breaks in as a sysadmin, they can do anything they want. So let me ask you a question. Where is the security hole in insisting that command shell be turned off? I mean, if I leave it on, where's the hole? How does it increase your security to leave command shell off? If users can't do anything, or only what you give them permissions to, or a compromised sysadmin account can turn it on and do whatever they want anyway. Where's the security hole in leaving it turned on?
There isn't one?
There isn't one. But all we ever hear is it has to be turned off. It has to be turned off. It has to be turned off because it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Well, regular sysadmin is dangerous, right? So what happens? Actually, let me show you something. I'm going to turn this back on if I can find the code for it. Oh, I need to be in the other window. So I'm going to turn on the privileges again. Now, I'm going to create the account. I'm going to add that credential. XP user. XP user is a local account, and it's got that guy right there. Okay, so as I do this, I'm going to add that credential. So now I've got my XP credential back. I've got a role called Command Shell Peeps in master, and I'm going to create that, and I'm going to give execute on command shell to that role. So I'm just simplifying things, right? This way I don't have to add individual users. I can just give them those permissions. So when I do that, yep, it already existed. Perfect. And now I'm going to, the user's already created in there, so I'm going to give that user permissions in that role. There we go. And then, just in case I didn't do that before, I did. Okay, good, but I'm going to do it again anyway. Okay, so let's see if I can run command shell from here now. In fact, you know what? I'm going to copy this, and I'll just do a quick IP config just to see if I can do it. There we go. Okay, we're back in business, so I can run command shell again. And just to prove to you that the credential is what it's supposed to be, I'm going to run who am I this time. And that tells you the account of the current user, and you can see I'm running under that local account BindyCon XP user. Excellent. So now, let me ask you this. If I don't have a credential, if I don't have that proxy, and I'm a sysadmin, what does command shell run under? Because if I'm logged in as SA is not a Windows account, so does it automatically map to my Windows account? Or if I'm logged in as my Windows account, does it use my Windows account by default? What does it use? Anybody know? Anybody at all? Oh, okay. Well, I know. So it runs under the SQL Service account. Always, always, always. Even if I'm logged in as Windows, if I'm logged in as SQL, it doesn't matter the account. If I'm in sysadmin, it runs under the service account. And here I can show you as well, because I'm logged in as me. I should be logged in as me right here. Yeah, see? Right there at the end it says Midnight Sean. There we go. So I'm looking for where I do that. Here we are. So here's a who am I under my account. And there's my account, and that's what I'm running the service under. Let me go ahead and change that service. Come on, dude. There we go. Do I have config here? Nope. Let me do services. Yeah, just Any day now would be nice. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to come down here to SQL Server, and you see it is running under my account, but I'm just going to switch it real quick to what would be a good one? I can't remember what's the equivalent of localhost.
Well, there's local system.
Let me see here. I can't, for some reason I just can't remember the name of the account right now that does that. Local service, that'll be fine.
I just said that.
You said system. So let me do that. Oh, a valid password. Okay, so it's not that. Well, anyway. So I'm not going to be running under that. What the hell is the name of that? I can't remember it. Anyway, so it runs under the service account. So what is the service account then in this case? It's a proxy, right? So there is no such thing as running command shell without a proxy, period. Whether you have a default proxy, which is the service account, or you have a proxy that you create for non-SQL admins, you're still running command shell under a proxy, period. There's no way to get around that. And so this is like Microsoft's model that they do with everything, right? Look at the agent. Unless otherwise specified, unless you have an override proxy, all the jobs run under the agent account, like you said earlier. Same thing, if you go to run an R script, right? They have a service there for that R script to run under, right? That's a proxy that gets handed off, and it runs that R script under that proxy, right? So this is the service proxy security model that Microsoft uses since the beginning of time, and there's no reason for them to not continue using it. I think if they wanted to make it more explicit with command shell, they could create a command shell service for it to run under. But since they don't, then right now we've got the service account. Now, let's take a look for a second at, let's switch gears for just a minute and take a look at what it takes to monitor your sysadmin. Because, you know, if you need to figure out who's got sysadmin on your box, you can just open up the GUI, or you can run a query and you can do it. But what if you've got 500 boxes, 200 boxes, 1,000 boxes? It gets a little bit harder then, right? And there's something else that gets harder as well. So right now I can list, using XP login info, I can list all these guys. So I can see everybody that's got Windows credentials in here. If I want to see just my specific privileges, I can come in here and see who I belong to. So I belong to marketing, and I belong to test group, and I belong to built-in admins, right? And I'm directly in there as an NT account. And if I want to look into the built-in admins, I can see all of the built-in admins as well. And I've got my domain admins group here, right, as part of my local admins. But that's the problem. The only thing login info gives you is that first level. It only gives you accounts that have direct access to SQL. So if I want to see who's in domain admins and any of those subgroups, I'm sunk. Well, not actually sunk. You can do it. What I would have to do is go through every one of these, and I would have to add domain admins as a login in SQL, and then run XP login info on it, and then save all of the subgroups under there, and then delete admin from here and add every one of those subgroups to SQL one at a time and gather all those and walk the chain that way. And tell me that's not a security risk, sitting there adding all of these boxes, all of these different AD groups to SQL. Because if there's a glitch or if you forget something, something goes wrong, now you've got a group in there that's hung in there and given rights to SQL that shouldn't be. So it's really not a good way to figure out who's got admin rights, because AD is full of subgroups. If you do everything in a top level group, okay, fine, you can probably get away with this. But outside of that, no, man, you're sunk, right? And you have no AD information either, right? So from here, I get the mapped login name. That's grand, but I don't have any idea when that user was added. I don't know the last time that user logged on. I don't know if that user is disabled. I don't know anything about it. All I get is the list of names, and that's it. And again, only the top level names. So I consider that to be a huge problem in the login info SP. It's just not worth it, right? It's bare bones if you have to do it. But like I said, you have to add all those subgroups to SQL if you want to get their members. And, we quite often deal with clients that have, 20 and 30 level subgroups in there. And yeah, you're not going to do that manually. And it's a lot harder than you think to do that in code, especially for 1,000 boxes. Yeah, it's rough. So it's just not worth it. So there, you've got a problem. Okay, that's my little aside from that. So we've already looked at how you can get command shell privileges. But let's say that you've got your sysadmins locked down really hard, right? SA is turned off. You've only got a handful of sysadmins, and every one of them are coming in through Windows. And so, it's almost impossible for somebody to break in with a sysadmin account. Okay, I'll give you that. That's a really good start. But there are other ways that you can give yourself sysadmin, that regular users can give themselves sysadmin. So let's look at a couple of these. Where are you? There we are. Okay, so you can start by adding a step to a normal job. You can find a job that runs as SA. That's not hard. Or runs as the agent account, right? That's not hard. Most maintenance jobs do that. And you know what privileges you need to be able to add a job step? One of these guys right here. Agent reader role can add a job step. So that's a pretty low level permission in MSDB. And plenty of people hand it out. In fact, I've been in shops that hand it out like candy. And they absolutely insist on keeping command shell turned off. Oh boy, you've really saved our bacon there, haven't you? So here, I'm gonna do something here that nobody's ever gonna question. To the backup DB's job, I'm gonna create a step called ensure backup permissions. And in there, I'm gonna add an account called MS Policy Service Proxy. It follows that with hashes on each side, right? It follows that same built-in service account model that Microsoft uses when you install SQL. It looks very, very similar to that. And people are going to go, oh, Policy Service Proxy. Okay, sounds good to me. Most people even look past that anyway, right? So I'm going to create that account, and then I'm going to add it to sysadmin. So that's going to be a job step that gets added to that job. Let me go ahead and do this. Let me get in here. That's you, dude. Let me get in here. There we go. Jobs. And what's that? Backup DBs? There it is. Let's see if it's already there. There we go. It is not there. So there is no second step there. So now I'm going to come in here. I'm going to add that step. And now when I come in again, Now it's in there. And I'm waiting for it to come up. At least I think I am. There we go. And so there we are. I check for the login. If it's not there, I add it and put it in sysadmin. So every single time a backup runs, it's going to put my admin account back in there. Ooh, saucy, right? So that's one way that somebody with fairly low-level permissions could give themselves admin rights. Here's another one. It's kind of the same thing. In fact, let me reset this. So I'm going to delete that job step. There we go. And I'm just going to insert it directly into the table. Now, I know what you're thinking. You can't, you have to be able to turn on allow system updates to be able to write to system tables. Right? Because you get that all the time, right? You try to update a system table and it says you must use SP-configure to turn on system updates. Right? But the thing people don't know is that these tables in MSDB aren't system tables.
Right.
They're user tables. So all you need is fairly low level permissions in MSDB, and boom, I've got my job step again. Here it is. And just under a day. There we go. That wasn't too bad. And there's my step again that does the same thing. So with fairly low level permissions, I've just hacked the table because it's not a system table. It is a user table. Now, I'm going to, oh yeah, and here I'm updating it so that the first step runs the second step afterwards. There we go. So now it'll actually run that every single time a backup kicks off. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and delete that step now because I don't want it in mine. There we go. Okay. Guess what? There's another one. So I can update an existing job step. This one I like too. So if somebody's going to go in and look and say, hey, I can see that we've got 2 job steps for this one job. Didn't we just have one last week? Well, let's go ahead and just add it to the tack it onto the end of the current one. So here I can just update that. So I can update sys job steps. Command equals command plus carriage return line feed, and then the exact same code. And step equals number 1. So I'm going to add it to the first step, just in case there are multiple steps in the job, right? There we go. And if I look in here, yep, still have 1 job step. And there's my code right there at the end after my backup database call. So every time, once again, every time it runs, it's going to check and put my sysadmin account there. Now that I've got a sysadmin account, right, what can I do? I can turn on command shell and do anything I want. And I did this with really, really low privileges in MSDB. Thank God you've got command shell turned off because that really saved us. Command shell being turned off has really kept us from having elevated privileges. Now, it doesn't take much smarts to figure out something else too. And now we're going to have some real fun. Can you update sys comments directly? In other words, could I add code to a stored procedure in sys comments directly? Boy, it sure would suck if you could, wouldn't it? So I'm going to try to update that sys comments. I'm just going to tack Sean onto the end of my backup master SP. So when I run that update, ad hoc updates to system catalogs are not allowed. That's right. That's an SP configure option. Okay, so I can't do that one. Can I do SQL modules? Let me try to update SQL modules. Nope, same thing. Okay, so I can't do that. Okay, so those really are system tables. But guess what? I've got something even better. So let's say that I've got command shell, or maybe I want to add this as a step to a different job that runs as sysadmin, right? Like the SQL agent account, because most of the time SQL agent is a local admin, and we know it's a SQL admin, right? So I could easily, and I didn't flesh this out because I've got it fleshed out in other places, I could easily call PowerShell, and I could connect. So I could create a PowerShell step, and I could create with I could connect with invoke SQL command under the Windows account, and I could add any account I want to sysadmin. And again, I can do that with fairly low privileges because all I have to do is add this as a PowerShell step to the job, add a different step to a job, which I could do either through add job step or directly to the table. So with fairly low privileges, I can even run PowerShell as the SQL agent account. All I want, and I can do anything I want. Now, why can I do anything I want? I'm not usually very restricted. And the reason why is because most shops, and I do mean most shops, not only run the agent account as a local admin, but it's usually the same agent account across multiple boxes or on all boxes. They usually use a domain account that does the same that across all the servers, right? So now I can do anything I want, including giving myself local admin. I can put myself in a domain group. I can do all kinds of things depending on the privileges of that agent account. So again, thank God you had command shell turned off. And I don't even have to have this be a PowerShell job step. It can be a regular Windows command job step that calls PowerShell exe. So there are a number of ways to do this. And these aren't even the only ones, right? And the reason why I said changing the definition of an SP is because if you look and you have job steps, say that you're somehow on top of the job steps and you notice that there's an extra job step, you're going to look in there and see that it gives somebody sysadmin, and you're going to go, whoa, what the hell is this, right? But if you add it to an SP, it's a lot harder to find. And we've all seen, or if you add it to the job step, to the current job step itself, it can be harder to find. Now, I said that you would add it to like a maintenance job or something, right? But we look at maintenance jobs from time to time, right? But look, you could add it to an SIS job. You can make it another step in an SIS job. Most of us don't go looking at the job. We configure the SIS, we configure the job, we configure the package, and we let it run. And then if there are any problems, we go to the package itself, right? We troubleshoot the package, not the job. There's nothing wrong with a job. This is my favorite, SRS. How many of us have seen dozens upon dozens upon dozens of scheduled SRS reports? And they all have those nice long GUID names, right? And they're just boom, they just fill up your job list. And when's the last time you opened one of those? I would say probably about between the 3rd and 5th of never, right? So you could easily add a job step to one of those, and every single time that job runs, you're adding yourself to sysadmin. Oh, I love it. It's grand, right? So all kinds of places. Archive and delete jobs. We don't go into those jobs very often, so you could add that to one of those SPs. So every time the archive runs, the SP creates your sysadmin account because everything's running under agent, which is a local admin. So there are lots of ways to get into elevated privileges. And thank God you've got command shell locked down, because that's clearly the problem. So I've made a big deal about command shell not being the problem. So what is the problem? Can anybody tell me how to solve this problem with command shell? Because we've clearly, done some stuff that we shouldn't be able to do. Or how can we solve the problems with these other issues as well of being able to get elevated privileges?
It seems to be based on the permissions of the service account.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? Exactly. It's the service account. Because, and I don't have to tell you guys, we've all been here, right? We've all seen this so many times. Shops that run SQL with the service account as a local admin, and it's also a domain account that has local admin on all the other SQL boxes, or a handful of other SQL boxes, right? Even if it's not the only service account in the shop for SQL, it certainly isn't by box, right? So there are two ways to shut this down. Number one, take it out of local admin. Don't run SQL as local admin. If you need local admin to be able to do something on another box, or the service account to do something on another box, explicitly give it those permissions on the other box. If you needed to do something locally, like, I don't know, write backup files, then specifically give it read and write to the backup directory. That's it. What's the other way? Don't use the same account on all your servers. Every single server gets its own account. Period. And it's a pain, because now if there's a lot of interplay, you've got to go give explicit permissions on every single box. But nobody said security was easy, right? Security's a pain in the ass. It always has been. But blaming command shell for this and saying, we have to turn command shell off, is like going to the locksmith and getting 6 dozen copies made of your front door key, and leaving them in a box by your mailbox that says front door key, and then turn around and say locks don't work. So limit the permissions of not only the SQL account, but the agent account as well, because you don't want the agent to be able to do these things. Agent doesn't have to be an SA. It doesn't have to be in sysadmin. It has to be able to do whatever you want it to do. So don't give either one of them local admin, and don't give the agent sysadmin. And you won't have these problems. They can try to do anything they want, right? And of course, then the common sense stuff. Only give out very limited permissions to MSDB. One way that I've handled this in the past, because yes, you don't want to be in charge of every single group being able to, you don't want to have to run jobs for every single group when they need a job run on a special schedule, right? You don't need to manage all that stuff for them, because I've been in shops with, a couple thousand servers and, gazillions of groups, and every one of those have, 20, 30 users in them, and I don't have time to be running jobs for every little person that has an update, right? But the way I've handled that in the past is, instead of giving them rights to MSDB, is I either created a small PowerShell and compiled it as an exe and given it to them that they can pass in the job name, and all it'll do is run the job. Or I give them like a web page with a drop down of the jobs that they're allowed to run, and then they can hit go and it'll run it. It'll send the call to SQL, and they can do nothing else. So I don't give any users access to MSDB itself. I either give them an exe that only will run a job, period. And I can even keep a table on the back end with the number of jobs that, with the list of jobs that particular person is allowed to run. Or I give them a web page, and that's it. But nobody gets access to MSDB. And that's how you lock that down. Now, we talked before about this guy up here, Here it is. Yeah, I passed it. Login info. It's extremely deficient when it comes to checking for these things. That's where we as a vendor minionware comes in. Where we come in is one of the things we do better than anybody else is we audit security and we manage security, and we do it at an enterprise level. So what happens, and I actually need to make a small change because I was playing around with something earlier, so give me just a minute to make a small change in my tables. Well, I may not need to because, well, let me see. I'll do this first. I'll run it first, and if I run into problems, then I'll make the change. So I'm going to run into that. There we go. So let's take a look at this real quick. Let's say I want to see all the sysadmins in my environment, right? I want to see all the sysadmins. What have I got here? I've got a slow box is what I've got. There we go. So we collect all of your sysadmin info. And you can see here I've got like 1,800 rows in here. That should be, sorry about that. Come on. There we go. That's better. Ha ha ha. Let's do that instead. There we go. So that's 128. So 128 sysadmins in my entire shop. And you can see here that I'm going through the different boxes. Right? So I've got different servers here. So this is for my entire shop. Now, let's concentrate on one specific scenario. I want to see a single box sysadmins that are Windows groups. There we go. So let's see who I've got here. I've got Minion DBA. Hey, I know who that is. Those are the DBAs. These are the services. And I've got this thing called Budget SQL. And it's a Windows group. So who the hell is Budget SQL, and why do they have sysadmin on this box? I don't know. We also go out to AD and we get everybody. We not only get the groups, but we unwind all of those groups as well and give you all the members of all of the subgroups and all of those subgroups. If it's 40 levels deep, even if it's 50, 60 levels deep, we get it. So I'm going to look here and I'm going to look in the AD group table and I'm going to get where Budget SQL. There we go. So this is the group. This is the object name. And you can see I've got 55 rows in here. But look at this. Some of these guys are subgroups. So I've got IT and insurance and HR and finance and all that, right? So I've even got subgroups in here. Okay, that's fine. Now we've got this lovely little SP. And this is where I might... No, I shouldn't be okay. I should be okay. So I've got this lovely SP here. SQL Admins by server. And I can get all the sysadmins for this specific server. And this is going to give me a flat list of users. It'll take just a second. There we go. So now I've got a flat list of users for this server. And I've got 163 now. And that's with all of those unwound groups. See here, I've got the SQL account name is Budget SQL. And here's all of those subgroups we talked about. And here are the users in those subgroups. And so I've got everybody here that I need. So now I went from 128 in my entire enterprise to 163 just on this server. I could also get the other built-in roles too if I wanted to. That's what that all means, right? Now, remember I said that we take your entire shop into account. So now I'm going to do the same thing for my entire shop. So now I'm going to get the sysadmins for every box. There we go. I got different boxes here. And I've got 324. That's 3 times what I had before just looking at sys logins. And you can see I'm going through all the boxes. And this is also Windows users and SQL users and group users. So this is absolutely everybody in a single list. Now, you want to hear something really cool? Not only, yeah, Jen wants to hear something cool. Cool. So not only do we get this information, but by default, without anybody asking us, out of the box, if anybody gets added to sysadmin or any of the other built-in server roles, whether it be through SQL, through a Windows account, or buried 40 levels deep in AD groups, we'll send you an alert that says these guys have been given these privileges to these boxes. It's just out of the box. It happens, period. No configuration needed, anything. We just do it.
That's one of my absolute favorite.
I know, I love that too.
Yeah.
And we have had so many users come back and just say, oh my God, dude, that just, that saved us. We had no idea that this group had permissions. And it happens all the time where somebody, some AD admin accidentally puts somebody in the wrong group or puts a different group in a wrong group. It happens all the time. We constantly get emails about, I don't know, a couple times a month or so. We'll get an email from one of our users saying that the minion caught a mistake like that. Now, top level security audit, I can just count how many people I have in each group. Right? So this is how many people are in sysadmin on each one of these servers. Now, if you were going to do a SQL audit, which one of these servers would you start with, do you think? Exactly. Number 6, right? Minion DevCon. It's got 173 sysadmins. I think I would probably start there when everybody else is under 20, right? Okay. This is the same thing, basically. This is just telling you where they get their rights. I'm just taking the data and just giving it to you in different ways now. It'll take a second. So this is everybody with sysadmin. Again, it's the same thing. Different server names, you can see. But now I'm just showing you that this guy gets in through a Windows group. This guy is a SQL login. This guy's a SQL login. This guy's a Windows user. These guys are coming in through Windows groups, and so on, right? So this is just showing you where they get their privileges from. You can also count how many people are in each group. I guess I'll go ahead and run this one. There we go. So we got all these lovely groups here on each box, and you can break down and see, where all that's coming from. Here, we know it's coming from Budget SQL because we've already done that. Now, some of these things that I really love. This one is one that I really, really love. We can follow a user all the way across the environment and show you where he's getting his privileges from. So let's say I want to see all of the boxes that eGant is getting has access to. And this may be one of those that I would have sworn. Let me try old. Yeah, let me try old. There it is. Let me see if I didn't mess this one up. I may have messed up that data earlier. If so, I'll turn it back on. Oh, you're killing me. Okay, let me go make that change I talked about and see if that makes a difference, because I did rename a table. So I'm going to kill this. Yeah. Come on, dude. You got this. There we go. And let me rename this back and see if that fixes it. If not, then I have messed up the data somehow. I didn't expect to run this exact demo today. Yes, just do it. There we go.
Ask for questions.
I need to get back into the other database. Ha ha ha. There we go. Oh, let's hope that fixed it. Of course it didn't. I don't know what I did to my data, guys. Sorry. But, what you would have seen is that in this full path, we actually give you the full AD login, the full AD group chain. So we can show you what the group is in SQL as a SQL login, and we can show you every single group they're in, every single subgroup they're in to get into that group. So we show you the actual group chain of how they get in there. And like I said, I don't know what I did to my data. I don't know. Because it's login demo, that should be frozen data. Do it? 3 minutes. Okay. 3 minutes it is. Huh? Okay, 2 minutes then. Okay, so I want to show you one more thing, and this is really cool as well. And you can alert off of these things as well, right? Anything I'm showing you is alertable. So let's say that you have a service account and you want to rotate the password for, say, every quarter, maybe, right? So every quarter we're going to rotate the service accounts as part of one of our audits. So since we've got all that info in there, got this lovely little query here, and you can see the last time, you can see how long in between password resets. So for this SSO service, I can see that it was 15 weeks, then 13 weeks, then 12 weeks, then 4 weeks, and then 12 weeks again. So I can see how long it is between these password changes. And I can do that proactively as well. So this is a report that I could easily show my auditors and say, see, look, we've done it every 12 weeks. I mean, I couldn't say that here, but if I stick with it, I could. But I could also look at it here and say, okay, I have to change it every 12 weeks. And if this last one here is 11, then I can use that to send an email to my help desk and kick off a ticket that says, hey, we need to change this password next week, right? You can do the same thing with SQL accounts as well. So I've got the same thing here, and I can look at SQL accounts and say, well, if I need to rotate this SQL password every quarter or every month, then you can use that to be a proactive measure as well. And you can not only do it for a single account, you could do it for multiple accounts, and you could do it across multiple boxes. So let's say you've got like this load balancing thing, right, where you've got the same account on 3 or 4 SQL boxes and a web front end, and it hits whichever SQL box is available, right? So you can make sure that happens on all of the SQL boxes at the same time, and you can audit it. There we go. So I want you to do 2 things now. First, I want you to go to minionware.net and click on Request a Demo. We can get you a trial from there, and I can work out my my little demo woe there, my little data problem, and I can show you what that looks like. But there's a lot more in Minion Enterprise than just what I've shown you. This is just the smallest slice of what we do.
Yep. And
second, I want you to enter today's raffle. We're giving away 3 permanent licenses of Minion Enterprise, and the URL is, oh my God,
tinyurl.com.
It's tinyurl.com/passmn-raffle1. Here, let me write that down. Here, I'm going to give it, let me see it. It is
tinyurl.com.
Yeah, I got lost. Jesus, man, you're killing me. tinyurl.com/passmn-raffle1. I did it in just under a day. There we go. So,
Hey, Sean, we also have a question in the chat here in Zoom.
carry on.
So the question is, are you going to share the demo scripts? And also, how about maybe adding an extra layer and monitoring modif dates for SPs and jobs? While not the solution, at least it will allow to catch odd things like code changes.
I'm glad you asked about that because it's already there. Remember, I said this was just the tiniest sliver, and I meant to mention that. I just forgot. So yes, we pull in all of your job code, all of your job steps, all of your SPs, all of everything, and we can tell you when those objects change, and you can write your own alerts and say, let me know when this SP changes, or just let me know any SP that has something like create login or add server role member or something like that. So yes, let me know when a step is added to a job or when a job step itself is changed. Yes, we already do that.
Cool.
It's
Anybody else have? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was just saying it's wunderbar. Anybody else? I'm easy to find. You don't have to ask any questions right now. You can reach me at, and I'll put that in the editor as well because, you know, I'm really special that way. I am Sean at midnightdba.com or Sean at minionware.net. And you can reach us at Twitter. You can reach us on Twitter at Hey Minionware. That's Hey Minionware. Not, you know, the grass kind of hay, but the dude kind of hay. Anybody else? And I think there was another slide or something, right?
Just questions, yeah. You can put it up.
I'll put it up.
Oh, and the scripts, you're gonna share those too?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can put those scripts up. Where would you like them?
Just on the Discord room 4, if you could, please.
Okay, well, I can put it in Discord, and I'll also put the recording of this session up because I'm recording the session from my side.
Nice.
So, you know, and there's lots of stuff on our YouTube channel and at midnightdba.com. There's tons of stuff. We show you lots of demos on Minion Enterprise and all of our maintenance stuff. Don't even get me started on the maintenance because I'll never shut up. I know.
We're gonna have you come back, Sean.
I know it's hard for y'all to imagine me never shutting up, but all right. Well,
this was awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure thing. And yeah, if you want me to speak at the user group or anything one time, just give me a holler.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely will. Love to have you guys back.
We got topics. All right, guys. All right. If there's nothing else, I'm going to jet.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.